Tell us in a nutshell what a legal abuse syndrome actually is.
Yes, it is a condition that 20 years ago I guessed at and created a thesis statement about, that now after research and 20 years hence we know is a fact, that when you go to court you can come away with a post-traumatic stress disorder just from the litigation experience itself, or if you have another condition, it can be exacerbated by the court. And that's what's called legal abuse syndrome. It's kind of like battered spouse syndrome or rape trauma syndrome. It tells you where it came from, but it's post-traumatic stress disorder.
Well, I thought that was reserved to us Vietnam veterans.
Oh, no. And frankly, the veterans' PTSD isn't reserved just for the battlefields. A whole lot of their PTSD is coming from the way they're treated at home.
Well, we just had Stephen Baskerville on, and apparently this is a battlefield.
You got it. You got it.
When these people get into court, they aren't really prepared for this. What they've got buried in their minds is there's going to be some justice showing up. Never does. So,
and they're in battle every day, year after year, with no R&R. They never get a day off.
Well, what can we do about it? Karen, what are you doing about it? I know you're doing some marvelous things, but what's your approach?
Well, one of the most important things we've done is we've called an injury an injury. When you have PTSD, you have a psychiatric injury, and your injury is somewhat unseen, but it's the same as if you walked in the courtroom and every time you walked in, the judge got off the bench, walked up and whacked you in the kneecap with a hammer. And you'd hobble out and you'd try and get it healed, and you'd come back in crutches. Next time you come in, they get off the bench, come down and whack you in the same knee with a hammer. You are injured. So we're calling an injury, and we're saying under the Americans with Disabilities Act, you have a right to accommodations in that courtroom, or you're hobbling around and you're not able to hold your own and there's no level playing field. A recent accommodation I just got last week in Palm Beach Federal Court is that we are going to be able to do biofeedback in the courtroom during the proceedings. This is going to give us just great information. It will be very helpful. I sat eyeball to eyeball with that judge in the courtroom last week, and he asked, why did you ask for videotape? He said, we don't allow it in federal court. And I said, because this woman needs, we need to know what the cues are that send her into her symptoms that leave her unable to defend herself and present her case properly. And every other attorney in this courtroom has had a chance to rehearse. They've all had practice in the courtroom. They've all been able to find out what their cues are, what their effectiveness is. She has not. That's why I wanted the videotape. I said, but my first choice would be biofeedback, but I'm sure you wouldn't allow that. And he said, I will allow it. He said, the federal court won't allow video, but I will allow biofeedback. I about fell out of my chair. But I'm very grateful for that, because we're going to really be able to do some good work with that now and show the key when the PTSD sets in. The key moments, as I'm able to pin them down, are when the lies go into the record and don't get corrected.
Right.
You walk in with an apple, you can prove it's an apple, you know it's an apple, it was grown on an apple tree, et cetera, et cetera. You walk in that courtroom, and by the time you're done, they're convincing you it was an orange.
Oh, yeah,
and
or
you
a
don't
prune.
get any of the juice, you know. They have taken your case and twisted it and defrauded the court, and those are the moments when the helplessness and the jeopardy come together that create the PTSD.
Can you, in a nutshell, give our viewers a definition of biofeedback?
Yes, it's we're going to put little receptors on the litigant's fingers, And during the court proceedings, I will be reading on a monitor the emotional reactions of that person, their anxiety level. And then we will record that, and I will at the same time be keeping track of what the topics are that are being discussed at the various times. And what my thesis is that I believe will happen, but I don't know, we'll find out, is that when those lies go into the court, which have gone on for years and have been uncorrected, and the attorneys have participated making it fraud on the court, that we will see right there and then, and I'll be able to show the judge. And one of our accommodations is we get to call for breaks. When that happens, I'm going to say, Your Honor, this is one of those moments that we need a break. And we'll stop, we'll get her emotions back under control. I'll be able to show him on the monitor exactly what just happened. And I'll be able to tie it into every time they lied. And that she didn't get a chance to stand up and immediately correct it and have the court accept the correction properly. What happens is you end up disoriented in a house of mirrors.
It almost sounds to me, Karen, that you're going way, way overboard and actually asking the judges to obey the law.
Yes, but here's the deal. When you're under the Americans with Disabilities Act, you're bringing federal civil rights law into the situation, and you're asking the judge to function in a ministerial capacity. That means he has no immunity. But it's my understanding that in his ministerial role, and in all of the court personnel, when they're acting in a ministerial fashion, there is no immunity. We've just stepped outside of the usual protections that allow this lying game playing to go on that is making people injured.
Well,
the other scary thing is that people are afraid to use the Americans with Disabilities Act. I have parents say, oh my God, if I admit to this, they'll take custody of my kids away. And that's a myth. If they were going to do that, and you didn't have the right to parent when you had post-traumatic stress disorder, we would have removed all the kids from the people from 9/11, the onlookers, earthquake victims, auto accident victims, and every veteran coming back from war. We'd be removing their kids. And your right to use the Americans with Disabilities Act does not preclude your parenting. You know, you still have a constitutional right to parent your children.
Well, I believe that, and everybody in this studio believes that, and I believe all our viewers believe that. But I haven't seen any evidence that the court does.
It's discrimination to tell you can't have your children. That's against your federal civil rights.
Well, I agree with you totally, Karen. I think you've got a handle on it.
Yeah, I think so too. It's the only thing that we've done over the years that has seemed to make a difference.
Tell me this, Karen, what would it take to get you to Reno, Nevada? Because we got some people we'd like you to beat up.
Oh, well, I'm a little old woman who
oh, no, I met you, remember?
Yeah, that's right. So you know I'm a little old woman. I'll be out in Nevada in the next month or two, and then it wouldn't be that tough for me to get up to Reno.
Justice is inherent in human beings. It's something that has to be. It's you can't
It's
do.
a fundamental need.
Yeah, you cannot live without it, and if it's challenged or beat up or warped or constantly hitting the knee, like you say, excellent scenario, then people suffer and they do become sick. This is an illness. This is a mental illness.
Well, it's an injury, and then they say, well, now you're injured. You can't, how can we believe you? You're injured. Wait a minute, you injured me.
Right.
Hold the phone here. I wasn't injured before I came to court. So.